Yes, off.
All right, we'll go ahead and start the, what is it? March 25th, city council. Would I have one of the council members read the proclamation? I mean, the land acknowledgement, sorry.
Dawn?
You gonna do it? You want-
I got.
We can pass.
Okay.
this, right?
Oh, I can do it. The Chinookan peoples known as the Cascade,
Okay.
the Clackamas and Cascades are the indigenous people of the land now inhabited by the city of Wood Village and other areas of the Columbia River. The village of Natokli was located near today's Blue Lake Park. Ancestral life of these peoples included a seasonal round of resource gathering and stewardship from the Wapato fields and fishing areas of the Columbia River to the cedar and huckleberry gatherings of the High Cascades. Introduced disease from early settlers dramatically reduced the number of these people. They signed the Willamette Valley Treaty of 1855 with the United States government and were forcibly removed to the Grand Ronde Indian Reservation. We thank the descendants of these tribes for being the original stewards and protectors of these lands since time immemorial. We also acknowledge the systematic policies of genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impact many indigenous Native American families today. We are honored by the collective work of many Native nations, leaders, and families who are demonstrating resilience, resistance, revitalization, healing, and creativity. We are honored to be guests upon these lands.
Now we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Greg, we have citizen comments on non-agenda items.
We have one in person, and that is all that we have scheduled for this evening.
Come on down.
I always forget to do that part. Mayor and councilors, thank you for your time today. My name is Scott Harden. I live here in Wood Village at 23828 Northeast Tree Hill Drive. And I'm here tonight to talk about a piece of paper that you have in front of you. And that is Paddles with a Purpose. So this is a pickleball fundraiser that's a tournament that's being arranged by the West Columbia Gorge Rotary Club. I'm a member of that club. It will be at the East County Pickleball Courts, which you may or may not know are the largest indoor pickleball court, I think, in the state of Oregon. And they're located at the Yoshida Shopping Center there at Stark, used to be the Chapel. And, okay. And our club, sorry?
And Troutdale Road.
Yes, yep, Troutdale Road, yep. Our club has a number of focuses, but one of them is homeless. The other is hunger. And then a third is STEM education for students in our region. This one will focus on homeless and hunger. The funds raised will go to East County Food Pantry, Cultivate Initiatives, and Shelter Box. And what I'd like to ask council to do is use some of their discretionary funds to be a sponsor. There are 3 sponsorship levels, $500, $300, and $100. We have 3 sponsors so far, all of whom came in at the $300 level. That's what I'd actually planned on asking you for tonight. But one of the benefits of that sponsorship is to be on the 8x10 banner. And we had to get the proof in for that already to print it. So we wouldn't be able to get you on the banner. But we would still be able to provide for you everything that's at the $100 level, if you would be willing to give $100. And that's a sponsorship logo in the tournament program that's distributed to the participants during the tournament. And you would also be posted on the Rotary Club of West Columbia Gorge website and the Facebook page.
Great.
And hopefully you'll consider that. And I'll give the sponsorship sign-up sheet to Becky. All right. And then anybody have any questions?
Questions, council?
A question, I know East County Food Bank, because we've contributed to them before, Cultivate Initiatives, we certainly know their work. The shelter box,
I'm
Not familiar with-
I'm just being brought in on Shelter Box myself. I'm not very familiar with them. Greg is though.
So I was until recently, a member of West Cooling Gorge Rotary for over a decade. And so Shelter Box it's a separate entity from Rotary, but highly connected to Rotary. It serves international disaster relief in terms of, I'll call it temporary shelter and housing supply for disasters, typhoons, in times of war. But a lot of times the quality, people will live in these for years after maybe their other homes have been destroyed. They come in through a lot of groups that will then take them to remote areas, set up the calm tents, but also then comes with cooking apparatus, ability to do clean water, filtration, basically set up a little mini home after a disaster all around the world.
okay, so it's international primarily?
Correct. They trend not to do much in the United States because the United States has like the Red Cross as their primary provider, so they focused internationally.
Thanks.
And then Scott, you said that it's too late for the 300 because of the banner already being out.
If you were gracious enough to want to contribute either 500 or 300, that would be great. But at those two levels, one of the things that's provided would be to have the city's logo on the 8x10 banner. And that proof has already been turned in to have that banner printed. So we wouldn't have that opportunity anymore for you.
You know, we've watched, and I think I'll take Cultivate Initiatives right now. If you've noticed, their funds are threatened right now, and they could be reduced with the county budget. Shelter Box, I don't know about, but I do know that we've also tried to support East County Food Bank in a variety of ways. I'm certainly supportive of spending some money here to help these two organizations, and third, the Shelter Box International, because we do see cuts across the country right now in organizations that serving people, and in many cases serving undeserved or
Underserved.
undeserved, and I want to stop that.
Whoa, where
Because I think, yeah.
Not his mic.
The underserved, and I think that, I'll leave it up to more discussion on what the number is going to be, but I'd certainly like to see a step up here and help the Paddles with Purpose.
Thank you, Councilor Minor. You're right about the current atmosphere. I'm job hunting right now, and at least 3 of my no letters are because the position, not the opening, it wasn't just the opening was closed, but the position doesn't exist anymore because they were paying for it in part with grant dollars that aren't coming anymore.
It's,
Yeah, I support this. We just learned last Sunday that we're not going to be doing the Thursday giveaways on produce and things. Going to do that anymore. So, and I don't know exactly where that comes from, but I'm thinking the East County Food. So it's not going to happen anymore.
I think we have a consensus of wanting to support. I think it's just kind of a,
I also just want to,
yeah.
Councilor Clark is online if he had a couple thoughts.
And I also support this as well, Mayor. If you can hear me.
Yeah, we heard you.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor Clark.
Greg, can you give us any insight into our budget in this area?
I think you've only used one council discretionary allocation. I think it was a few $100s, I think. So I think we budget 5,000?
Yeah, I think.
You have money if you want to do 500, 300, 100, you have the option to do any of that.
I support 500.
Okay, so there's a motion for 500. Is there a second?
Second,
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Clark?
Scott, I have a question. Scott, I have a question.
Sure.
Are there volunteer opportunities for this?
There are, and I can get you the details on those. I would also encourage you, if you play pickleball, want to put together a team and sign up
No, don't be on my team.
either. Yeah.
I'm a cheerleader.
Exactly.
We
That's
got-
why I said volunteer, not participant.
Same way my academic endeavors are 40 years behind me. Yep. All right.
Awesome. Well, Scott, thank you so much for bringing this to
Yeah.
our attention
Yes.
and, Greg will follow up with whatever we need and we're happy to support.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
And thank you, Council Clark.
How long you been on the Rotary, Scott?
I became a member almost a year.
It's a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sorry that, I haven't done much, at getting a job that took a considerable amount of my time and the recovery from heart surgery has taken my time. And so I haven't been much of a participant. I cooked all the hot dogs at the annual picnic. That's about the extent of it.
Well, that's all right.
so
You
far. But this is a good start. I'm being more involved. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Scott.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Scott.
And good health to you.
Yes.
Yes. And now we'll move on to the proclamation of Parkinson's Awareness Month and Councilor Tan has agreed to read the proclamation.
Good.
All right, the 2025 City of Wood Village Proclamation supporting the designation of April as Parkinson's Awareness Month. Whereas Parkinson's disease is a chronic progressive neurological disease and is the second most common neurodegenerative disease in the United States. Whereas the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson Research is dedicated to finding a cure for Parkinson's disease through an aggressively funded research agenda and to ensuring the development of improved therapies for those living with Parkinson's today. Whereas an estimated more than 1 million people in the United States are currently living with Parkinson's disease, with an additional 90,000 individuals diagnosed annually. Whereas it is estimated that Parkinson's disease has a national economic burden of approximately $52 billion per year, with that cost estimated to rise to over $80 billion by 2037. Whereas there is no known cure for Parkinson's disease and available treatments are limited in their ability to address patients' needs and remain effective over time. Whereas there is no known cure or drug to slow or halt the progression of the disease and available treatments are limited in their ability to address patients' medical needs and remain effective over time. Whereas the City of Wood Village recognizes the efforts of Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research as it leverages its core values of optimism, urgency, resourcefulness, collaboration, accountability, and persistence in problem solving to work on behalf of the 6 million people worldwide living with Parkinson's. Whereas increased research, education, and community support services are needed to find more effective treatments and to provide access to quality care to those living with the disease today.
Awesome. And I know this is a proclamation that we've been observing for quite some time. So it's great again that we are able to acknowledge it once again.
And we also partner with, I can't recall their exact name, but it's like the East County Parkinson Support Group. And they use our facilities here once a month for their monthly meetings, support group meetings and whatnot. So we don't just do it with the proclamation, we do it with some in-kind support and resource as well.
Great. That's awesome, Greg.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he came out last year.
Yeah, he's coming up. We'll continue on with consent calendar. There's quite a bit on there, so take a moment, if you wait.
Oh,
The consent calendar.
It's just the
It's-
consent calendar.
So we don't have to read it.
No, just a motion to approve
It's
it.
going to be a motion to approve
Cool.
all of that, but let me
Okay.
see if I,
I'm just, if
Please.
there's any questions,
no. A motion to approve the consent calendar?
second.
moved in second. All those in favor?
Bye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Nope. Scott, you've just been appointed to our urban renewal. Thank you for.
And
serving-
Budget Committee.
And
And
budget
budget,
committee. We will be, we,
Thank you so much.
yes, we will be seeing you soon and,
No, the mayor found an
We
open
figured it out.
carries in Vancouver.
figured it out.
Really?
Yes.
I
What'd
thought
you
they were
find
all
out?
dead.
It's still open in Vancouver.
Since our official pie distribution centers have all closed in Oregon, we have found one across the river though.
Okay.
Tollgate Inn.
The what?
Hi, are we talking about like eating?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eating.
Pie.
Oh, yeah, okay. I wasn't sure where. There's Tollgate Inn. They have pies.
Well,
It's always been shit.
it's what we've always gotten it from Sherry's because
I know.
quality and selection. We're like, where we're going to go. But yeah, we found it. The mayor found an open Sherry's.
Oh, there's an open Sherry's.
Mhm.
Oh, I thought you were just looking for pies in general.
We were looking for
Okay.
pies.
You
one
want
night.
Sherry's pies.
If you go all, we
Are
didn't
they
go
a paid
there.
sponsor?
I just know that there's some there. All right. Now we'll move to presentation of East County mediation.
Thank you, Mayor. And I want to it's my great pleasure to introduce Tara Cleland, Director of East County Resolution Center. I keep calling it East County Mediation. Before I introduce her, just want to point out, you've seen me on my phone. It's not because I'm not interested. We do have a water break in the lower village that we've been working on all day. So we've pinpointed it. We're working on it. So I'm just still engaging with the field team that's on it. That's what that's about. But I'm listening. I'm here. So on to Tara in East County Resolution Center. I want to introduce her to you all. She's presented before. East County Resolutions does just amazing work in the East County region. So not just limited to the 4 cities, but also kind of unincorporated Multnomah County. And it's not just mediation that we think of it as like neighbor to neighbor disputes or things, but it certainly helps in terms of code enforcement, compliance, landlord tenant issues. Love their second home program. That's where you have homeless high school students and they work with partner homes to then develop a living arrangement with a host family or host home so that student can finish out high school despite their housing status. So they do amazing work. As you may have heard or remembered from last year, City of Gresham was going to cut them from their budget starting this current fiscal year. Luckily, through a lot of advocacy and support, they were able to come in and survive one more year with Gresham's budget. And I say we've been working, but mostly Tara, at standing up its own independent 501c3. So I'm on that new board trying to spin up to keep this organization alive because even if you look at the stats of how many people served, that doesn't even really include who they talked with and what other conflicts may have been avoided because this center exists. We refer people to them very frequently and things that, the city doesn't address, a fence fell down or leaves fall in a yard. It's a great resource to refer people to, if nothing else, just to learn how to talk to their neighbor about a concern or issue that they have. So without stealing more of Tara's thunder and presentation, I'm going to have Tara take it away.
Thank you, Greg. And that's the end of the presentation. I so appreciate everything that you said. And I think that just says volumes to having you on our board and helping with this transition process because you're so passionate about the work and also a trade mediator. So again, I'm Tara Cleland. I run East County Resolutions currently with the City of Gresham. Just wanted to clear up a few things about our transition. So like Greg had said, we are moving forward. I believe this will be a successful, smooth transition come July 1st of this year. Will be East County Resolutions, an independent nonprofit. Still waiting on our IRS that we filed September 12th, but that's how long the government takes. So we'll get there. I just wanted to clear up a few things. The City of Gresham, so we had been housed with the City of Gresham for 32 years. And had support for decades from the City of Wood Village and the other East County cities, including financial support. And the one narrative that I'd heard is that East County Resolutions cost too much money and didn't serve enough people. And I just want to make sure that it's clear. Everyone knows this last fiscal year, the one that we were at risk of being completely cut, we cost the general fund of City of Gresham $3,103 for the entire fiscal year to serve 2,500 people. So just want to be really clear that while I'm here talking more about East County Resolutions becoming a nonprofit and hoping for the City of Wood Village's continued support, which is about $1,600 a year, I'm hoping for that continued support. And I want everyone to know that we do run a responsible budget, that we're fiscally responsible, that we use volunteers and we use very minimal staff to impact all of the programs that Greg listed. right? Including, and I have to mention it, the second home program that he talks about, where we connect homeless high school students with volunteer home providers in the community. We mediate lease agreements between them, because at 16 or older, or 15 and pregnant in the state of Oregon, you can legally sign your own lease agreement. No rent money is exchanged. The exchange is that student finishes high school. And that means that they have a safe place to come and rest their head and do their homework and go to school every day so they can finish their high school diploma. So that's just one of the many programs, including the Oregon Foreclosure Avoidance Program, where we're helping people, homeowners and banks, come together and make sure that they've checked through all of the boxes, they have all the information turned in, that the homeowners really have a process to make sure that they've been reviewed for a foreclosure avoidance measure. And in that case, about 50% of homeowners are able to avoid foreclosure. 50% in other programs may sound like, ooh, that's not a really great statistic. 50% of people who would have been foreclosed on anyways, instead retaining their homes here in East County, that is massive, right? Because every one of those homeowners staying in their home and being able to figure out a new loan path forward, that is one less person struggling, or one less family struggling with houselessness. So that's just a few of our programs that will be continuing, along with the neighbor to neighbor stuff. And at this point, our budget is looking like it will be good, hoping for Wood Village continued support. City of Gresham, it looks like they may also be financially supporting East County Resolutions as it transitions to a nonprofit as well. And so I just want to give some space too and see what questions you all had, or what comes up for you that you'd like to know more about.
Awesome. Let's open it up for questions, comments.
How do you do so much with so little money? How many people do you have working that actually get paid?
Yeah, great question. So how do we do so much with so little? A couple answers to that. So we have one full-time employee, that's me. We had funding for a part-time employee, which was cut once the cutting of ECR's budget and our transition for a year. We weren't able to get our part-time employee back. So it's just me. We run off of about 20 volunteer mediators and facilitators who do a lot of work for ECR. I'll also say I've developed programs along the way that have brought in money to offset any other kind of overhead costs for East County Resolution. So we've done fee services. Oh, sorry, did you lose me?
We did.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you now. I talk really fast. What did you hear last?
I think you mentioned about your volunteers.
Volunteers, yeah.
Yes. So we run off about 20 volunteer mediators and facilitators. So that's a big financial chunk of people coming in and wanting to help their neighbors resolve conflicts. So they volunteer their time to do that. The other piece of this is that it's just me. It's just one full-time. And we did have a part-time admin staff, which was incredibly helpful for us growing the program. We haven't been able to do that since the transition. The city hasn't approved me getting the admin staff back. So I'll look at that once we transition to the nonprofit again. And I've worked really hard to cultivate fee for service work. So that's fees for trainings, where we can do trainings for organizations, for other nonprofits, and we'll do them at a great rate because, right, we're a civil service and they're a nonprofit. And so we'll meet whatever financial need that they have, but that we're bringing in additional funds to support our work so that our budget can be really sustainable.
How do people find out about your organization, and how do you get individuals involved to support, students to house them?
Yeah, so a couple questions. So I'm hearing, how do people know about us? And I'm also hearing, how do the second home students connect with the program? So first off, people hear about us through a number of ways. We used to do a ton of outreach. We used to go to all the local outings and the neighborhood association meetings and put a lot of effort in outreach. And when you talk about like, how do you do so much with so little staff and overhead? We got to be efficient. So that didn't turn out many cases. we would put in a lot of work. I'd spend a lot of hours doing that outreach and we wouldn't get a lot of folks coming in. Where it really pays off is making sure that the police and the sheriff department, making sure that code compliance, making sure our local city hall staff know about East County resolutions, making sure that they know what we can do and how we can help people. And a lot of times, even if we can just be the catch-all, send folks to us. If you're not sure this is a mediation thing, send them to us. At the very least, we can give them conflict coaching. We can help them think about the problem differently and think about what they need differently and help them think about how to meet their needs. So it doesn't have to be mediation for people to still get use of the service. You know, there's times where people aren't even going to mediate and I'll be on the phone for 45 minutes with them. And at the end of the call, they are so thankful that I was willing to spend the time to just listen to them. And I'm doing more than just listening, right? I'm also asking important questions for them to think about. And most agencies don't have that kind of time, right? We do, because we've cultivated our mediators, our volunteers, and a team to be able to make those kinds of phone calls and interactions with folks. The second home program, when people hear about that, I mean, it sounds really great, and potential home providers get really nervous about, well, who are these kids and would they just show up on my doorstep? The beauty of this program, of the second home program, is that students, it's not a fit for all students. It's a fit for the particular students who have housing insecurity, who need a place to stay that's safe, and they're otherwise a well-rounded student. Otherwise, they're doing well in school, they're fairly independent, so they fit the mold of being able to be connected with a home provider and things go fairly smoothly. And I say fairly because they're teenagers and these are just volunteer home providers. So mediation supports them the entire way through, including the home provider and the students interview each other. So they go through a series of interviews and they both have advocates through the Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon. That's one tier, East County Resolutions is a tier, and the third tier is the school district. And so home providers, students interview each other to find out if they are a good fit. Sometimes the student just wants a place that they can come in, they can do their homework, they can eat a hot meal, they can go to bed, and they can go to school. Sometimes they want to sit and have a family dinner. They may not have ever had a family dinner, right? And there's home providers who want one or the other thing too, right? There's home providers who want very much to bring youth into their family. And there's home providers that are like, I have an extra bedroom. I have access to a bathroom. If a teenager who's well-behaved can take advantage of that, cool. We're there as mediators to help support whatever that looks like for them and help them think about all of the kind of house rules and living together, the kind of stuff that I wish I could have thought about when I moved in with my first dorm roommate in college.
Tara, and you mentioned the schools, it sounds like you got plenty of clients out there and that the law enforcement is sending, probably plenty to you. The schools, counselors in the high schools or even the middle schools, but particularly the high schools, have you have some connection there and then they know you're available?
Yeah, my hope is that they know I'm available. That's ongoing outreach to make sure that the schools, because there's tends to be high turnover, particularly with school counselors or budget cuts, and then somebody else gets tasked with maybe 3 or 4 people's jobs. So the best that we can, we're connecting. For example, for Reynolds School District, we do I actually go myself and do a 2-hour workshop on de-escalating conflict for all of their, I forget what they call it. It's their staff that are like the lunch folks and the janitors and bus drivers. It's kind of support staff. And so in that way, for me, when I go out and do a workshop with folks, that is the selling point to show them that this stuff really can be helpful if they go through a 2-hour workshop.
Because, and then that would be it sounds like you made that contact because they see students passing through their doors at the beginning of the year primarily, and then without some help, those kids disappear that need a place to go or a place to live. When you say send them to us, where is What do you mean by that? Do you have a physical location? But when you said send kids or send people to us, is it a phone number?
Yeah, we have an email and a phone number because it's a remote office, part of also keeping costs down. So it's email, phone number, and it's not sending kids to us necessarily. We have had kiddos call us because they heard about the second home program. And then I connect them directly with their advocate at Ecumenical Ministries of Oregon. So there's a student coordinator who's just there to go and meet with that student and talk them through the process, talk to their teachers, talk to their counselor, and kind of vet if this is a good program for them. So we wouldn't necessarily take the kiddos.
Okay, so it's a email or a
Yes.
phone number.
Yep, email and phone. And that's even when we had our in-person office at the city of Gresham at City Hall, we probably had less than 5 people a year come in person to meet with a mediator.
Okay. Thank you.
Counselor Clark, do you have any questions? Okay. I just have 2 quick questions. You talked about, you mentioned some dollar amounts by City of Gresham and from what we contribute. Is that just depending on how many, clients per se from each city gets referred that we then kind of cover that fee, or how does that portion of those dollars get translated?
Yeah, the funding piece. So we've had a IGA, an intergovernmental agreement between City of Gresham, Fairview, Wood Village, and Troutdale. Well, for the 11 years that I've been with the City of Gresham. And I think Greg would say maybe even 20 years.
It goes back almost to the creation of the Resolution Center. It was the first 2 years we didn't have one. Then I think after year 3, there's always been an IGA between the 4 cities.
Yep. And so for City of Wood Village, so I think the numbers were sorted by population size. So by potential cases. So City of Wood Village contributes $1,622. And for perspective, Gresham, at least in the IGA, had listed they would contribute 49,122. So that's the population size difference. For that 1622 in the past, and this is what we've offered to the smaller cities, is even to get value out of that, we've also done cases for Wood Village, but just to get value out of that, all Wood Village staff, officials, neighborhood presidents, all of those folks can attend our trainings for free, no cost. And we've even come in and done I believe an equity training with all of Wood Village staff in the past. So that's all covered under that $1,622.
Yeah, we've had Tara and her team come in a few times on some, I call it the staff-to-staff conflict resolution, also all staff trainings. And then what else Wood Village has done, we've the last several years legislatively advocated for funding for not just the East County Resolution Center, but all the resolution centers around the state. So we really try to be a good advocate to the work that's done, because you really can't just say, oh, you only had 5 cases this year. You also don't know the phone calls they had, the conversations they had, and what disputes didn't occur because of the resource. And just even when Mary or Chelsea answers the phone and there's an issue, and just having, hey, here's this resource, you can use it no cost to you, it goes a long ways, whether the community member uses it or not. 2 more things to point out very quickly. One, I just want to make a note. I don't want to have Gresham be a punching bag and be like, oh, they're getting rid of ECR and shame on them. Gresham really has, through its budget work, had to really look internally at its core services and duties, and has taken an approach like some other larger regional partners of outsourcing more of the pro-social programming. And I just like to believe that's the approach Gresham's taking, since they're still looking at trying to provide funding for this program, just not being responsible for it anymore. So I like to believe that of our valued partner. And since they are looking at still contributing funding to it. The other piece I want to point out is I did not put in $1,600 in my proposed budget. I put in $2,000 in the proposed budget for ECR, just because of the transition going into the work in the upcoming year, hopefully being a nonprofit.
No, I only make reference to that because, Greg, you've talked about them many times and a great tool and asset for our city staff of, sharing with our residents. So that's kind of, again, looking really, as you mentioned, the benefit for the amount that we were contributing, just the benefit that we received from it.
Well, there's, if you want to talk about a bang for your buck, it seems pretty clear. This money is being stretched and applied to our citizens throughout East County at a fee that is probably certainly under costs that it really deserves, but some fabulous work with the dollars that you're spending.
Thank you.
Well, no further questions, Tara. Thank you so much for the work you do and the service you provide to our citizens.
And I gotta just ask this question, sorry, but maybe I'm not following the numbers very well. How are you gonna have enough money to operate? I don't, what is Gresham, are they still in at 49?
9,000.
Well, I'm not sure how much Gresham's going to contribute yet.
Okay,
And the numbers for them are in the air. I'm honestly thrilled that they're talking about
Okay.
offering us funding, but I don't have any contract with them yet.
how about the
hoping-
other
I've
three
asked-
cities? How about the other three cities?
And I'm
yeah,
having conversations with
other
the
two
other two
cities.
cities, or Fairview and Troutdale as well. So I'm still having conversations with them, hoping that they'll also contribute. I'll say a big portion of our funding also comes from the state of Oregon. And I'm part of the legislative committee there's 12 centers just like ours in the state of Oregon. And so we've been following legislation, and it looks like we should, even with all the cuts, should still have the same amount of funding from our past year. And so as long as all of the our sister cities, all East County, support us at least at the rate that they had before, we should be okay and be able to continue services with one staff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you once again, Tara.
Tara's done great work trying to keep the organization alive despite the challenges with its host city. So thank you, Tara, for all your work.
Thank you all. Have a good
Yeah.
evening.
Have a
All
good
right,
evening.
you too.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to discussion of council retreat recap with Greg.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. No big presentation, no big PowerPoint. The retreat was just a few days ago. It looks like you all still remember it very well.
Oh, yeah, they're glazed.
Exactly. Just a couple of updates from it. We had a meeting on Monday, as we talked in the retreat. It was a very positive meeting. It went really well. We're having more discussions with the 3 city managers tomorrow. And so a big piece of coming out of that will be, there will be a need to hold a 3-city joint council meeting probably the week of April 7th to essentially authorize an IGA for our fire service. We should know what we need to know by then. That is a few days shy of what Gresham requested, but hopefully if we can get a 3-city council meeting together that week, they'll accept that and we can move forward how that looks. I think we are cautiously optimistic about the future. So we're moving full steam ahead on that piece from the retreat. Other portions of the retreat, I know by the afternoon, everyone's a little tired from the robust morning session, but certainly you saw and understand the 5-year projection and where we need to go with that. Clearly our priority public works projects and things coming out of the master plan, and we've updated our budget reflecting discussions around the park projects and things, so that will be reflected in the budget. And then we'll put together a draft APP really focused again on that fire and the financial side of that. In terms of cost wise, we had our PR person here for a few hours, so that'll cost, it's $250 an hour. And then I think we spent $350 on food. Call it $350 on food and stackables. So it's been about our lowest cost retreat in some years. So that's not a bad thing, but we knew what we needed to focus on this year. And like we introduced it, it wasn't necessarily doing specific team building or group consensus building. It was, we have a couple of hardcore issues that we need to really just sit down and focus for the day on. So I think from staff's perspective, it was a day well spent. And it seemed like you as a council got some more background information, details that helped clear the picture for the path forward, which really helped with discussions on Monday that we could affirmably tell some people that this is a direction that's the preferred long-term sustainable path.
I got to ask you a couple questions about the potential of an IGA
Yes.
in our three cities council meetings. If this continues on in the direction that you're describing, that IGA would be effective
July 1.
July 1. Okay. And other councils, we would have to take action at that council meeting, or will we get consensus and then go back to our own
I
councils?
think the idea would be essentially, we have a 3-city council meeting. We give the broad presentation of here are the options. Close that meeting. Each then council opens its meeting, and we set up the agenda this way to take action on, move to approve the city manager to develop and execute an IGA, blah, blah, blah.
Same day, right after that.
Correct. And that wouldn't be, we wouldn't necessarily have like an IGA
Right.
in front
No, I
of
got
you all with all the specifics, but you're basically giving this is direction we're going based on these criterion.
And bring us an IGA, and then we'll take formal action
At a-
on that IGA.
Next meeting.
Huge, as you
Yes.
develop the specific language and words, but basically the councils are saying, we approve this, then we bring back in a meeting or two the actual words.
And we can approve a special like emergency meeting if we need.
Oh, if it turns out that, you need to hold, let's say we meet, I'll just say the 9th.
Yeah.
And then on the 11th, it's, we need to do this other thing. You can call an emergency meeting at any time, but with 24 hours notice, you can call a meeting, and that's not considered an emergency meeting. So as long as you have 24 hours
Yeah.
notice,
All right.
you can call a meeting.
And I think, again, the idea around the 3 council meeting is that if we, as the 3 cities are in agreement in
Yes.
the direction we're moving.
Right on.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
They will provide all that information at that meeting.
yep.
Okay, so that is, I'm in a little better mood than I was when we started the retreat. No, I know
Let's
it's,
say, we
nothing's done.
won't know of definitive answers after the 7th.
yeah.
Just do it, Greg.
We're trying
Well,
really hard.
And I think it's important that we talked about it as deep of a conversation we did on Saturday, because again, I think we as a council will potentially be pushing and steering that boat for the 3 cities.
Yes, yes.
So understandably, each city has their own things they're kind of focusing right now, but this is
This is the big one.
important.
And I
This is
think
important.
that
One.
may be a hard part for the other 2 cities is, we won't have even a draft report in hand to give to them to really say, hey, here, for long term, these are deep questions to ask and answer. So it's a bit of good faith to you all that the councils will listen to you and the managers, promote what we know from the draft report, and that hasn't been released yet.
Well, again, to reiterate maybe a theme of where we're at a point where we can't afford services right now, what Gresham is asking from us. We can't afford it.
Right.
And we can't afford it now. We can't afford it definitely 3 years from now. So we have to look for an alternative source to provide reasonable, responsible fire service to our citizens here. So I don't see that we have a choice but to move forward with this, and hopefully the other 2 city councils will understand it from that perspective.
They say the numbers, they really should.
Well, and even, let's just say the numbers are similar. If you break one out versus you can give the current provider X dollars, maybe there's a new provider, you give them Y dollars, but you're still going to spend X dollars, but you're spending that increment on capital that then you own, and kind of changes the landscape and sets up the communities for that long-term sustainable future. So we all may still have to pay X, but what's X buying us 5, 10, 30 years from now.
Exactly.
Value for the dollar you're spending.
Yep.
So
Yep.
Greg, you're doing yeoman's work. So,
And already getting connected to a polling firm. So we're getting that connection built. There's already a draft timeline work plan developed through that. So over the next couple of weeks, that'll be refined and we can workshop that. So
Good.
Again, I think we all understand the increase is coming. I think it's just attached to what? Is the
exactly.
question and,
Yes.
and the decision we have to
Yes.
ultimately make. And
Correct.
So hopefully, yes, the other cities can look at it the way that we're looking at it.
Yes.
And yes, trust and good faith that that our recommendation or, our discussion with them is with that in hindsight of the future,
Mhm.
of not just next year, but
Yeah. Every year
And I
after.
think it would help if you can help us with like bullet points or, some key things
Yes.
that we, if we end up having that meeting.
Certainly, once we know after the 7th, what's possible July 1, we will develop the staff report that would outline.
Good.
Just highlighting like these,
Yep.
this is why.
Correct.
Good.
good. Yes, good.
That's great.
So that's all I really have on the retreat. I hope, it seemed like the sushi was a big hit.
Sushi
I'm
was
going
good.
back there. I've never been and that was,
Oh, they have so many.
yeah.
So I think we nailed it on the food stuffs.
And I'm sure they'll give us a gift certificate for our Play East auction. I'm sure they will.
It is quite tasty. So yeah, I think it was a really good retreat. I was really worried going into it, making sure we had all the right partners there to explain the various pieces, but I think that went really well and certainly gave a deeper understanding of the question at hand. It goes beyond just fire July 1.
And then I appreciate, for some reason, I want to say Megan. No,
Oh, Megan.
it was Megan.
Megan.
Yes,
Yep.
the PR.
Yeah.
Just again, the quick, the short time she was here, she was already kind of able to develop some type of
Yeah,
messaging
yeah,
and things of that nature.
exactly.
I
So,
had an action plan.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Very
that's
knowledgeable.
very knowledgeable, but I think again, very mindful of the conversation and say, hey, could be the approach. And so that was a great piece there.
Yeah, that was a nice having her there because I think it really helped everyone in that discussion of how do we message this both July 1, but also cost is going up. That's it.
That's it then.
Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, thank you so much. We'll move on to Director of Public Works report. And she is quick to change.
I know. Like Superman, she changed out of her uniform, and her cape.
Mayor, counselors, I can't be in my scrubs for you guys. So I'll make this quick. Last. Not movable? No. We'll leave it. Last month, we continued on our sewer CCTV project. We actually are finishing that up this week. So we had some updates on that. In the center picture, you can see some of the trail, that boardwalk that was updated. Hopefully get some of those slimy boards off and cracked and broken and get some new fresh boards in there before summertime. The crew did work on filling potholes a lot last month, just with the inclement weather and the cold. County actually was out today filling potholes on Halsey again, so that was very nice. And then we had our second storm last month that the guys dealt with inclement weather, and they installed some radio read installations. And you can actually see on the right, this is actually from this month, but the bottom right picture is a cleaned sewer line that Levitt went back and jetted and cleaned, and they got a new camera down there and it looks beautiful. So that's kind of some of the work that Levitt's been working on. We had 18 permits issued, 43 inspections, 15 code compliance. Walmart and Fred Meyer is still working on their remodel. Obviously, the restroom project is still in progress. That picture is actually from today, so we're getting closer. And then last month, we did have, our water loss did go up again. It was at 18%. But hopefully next month, you guys will see a lower number. We did find a leak on Walnut that we're working on today. So we'll see what that brings next month.
And that leak, because, we've been tracking this for a couple of years, and usually when you get a leak, it elevates to the surface, whether it's a street or ground. It just happened to be over a perforated storm drain line. So as it leaked out of the water, it was going right in the storm sewer. We would have never found it, but Erica arranged for a leak detection company. Jeremy either stayed up late or got up extra early because we did it around 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. throughout the city because less noise, less water consumption. So you can really dial in and like, there is a leak here. That was the biggest one. Now I have a couple other errors to kind of fine tune and see. So hopefully in the next month or two, we get this down to a more reasonable number.
Yes. So that's what we have.
Great work.
Do you guys have any questions?
Question.
No,
No.
don't.
Glad to see that the county's filling some
Well,
potholes on holiday there.
Well, they must have seen us at Lowe's getting some stuff, so.
Those actually get the cold patch to do it and then they come out.
Oh,
So.
perfect.
Those
Perfect.
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 Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Director of Finance report. I know he is not feeling well.
That's actually, so, luckily, so Seth, yes, he did come down with strep throat, he and his wife, but apparently having your kids at your parents' house for the weekend and antibiotics really rejuvenates your body. But he left early because he has to be in Salem 8 a.m. tomorrow on doing some legislative testimony on some state property tax bills that he's focused on, as well as connecting some of our state representatives. So he wanted to leave early today to get a little nap, so he's good to go for tomorrow. So I'll be presenting the financial report, which is all as well.
Yeah, good. But we had a pretty thorough report.
It was very thorough.
As I remember. it's
That
pretty
was
thorough.
after lunch.
Need to go back and revisit the compression and measure 5.
No.
I understood that though.
I did. So did I. And I did see something in the news that is a huge topic right now. Of lawmakers or our legislators really looking into a change into that as many of our agencies are falling into budget
Yeah.
deficits. So, I mean, big ones, all the tri-counties, Portland, Portland are all hit with at least $20 million deficits.
You know, at least the conversation, this is not new pressure on the legislators, but at least start talking about at the time of sale and a house moves into somebody else's hands, you don't stay back at the assessed value from started in
Right.
19.
Or you revisit the change property ratio, so then if a new construction comes on at it's more closer to its actual market rate, not its 1995 value.
Yeah.
And Seth is, he's probably testifying on that, on a change price ratio.
Not that one, it's on maximum assessed value
Okay.
is the one he's testifying on. He helped craft some language.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And he really has been talking, and I mean, I know people he's been talking to, and so he's been a driver
Mhm.
on this conversation.
I know it's gonna benefit a lot of us if there is at least an adjustment made or at least revisited.
Even elevating it, maybe there's not big meaningful changes this session and maybe it's not the next short one, but if we can keep the momentum and conversations going and deepen everyone's understanding, then maybe we'll finally get some real change, especially Seth's work on that compression. The presentation he's
Yes.
built and refined, that's a good roadshow for finance directors, city managers,
Yes.
and elected. So we're trying to adapt it to fit all of those and get it in front of as many people as possible to really understand the impacts. He has a really good one on like enterprise zones, for example, and when you give tax breaks to certain industries and when they use accelerated depreciation, what you actually get back on your tax rolls after that comes off. And not saying those aren't good and valuable programs for both, a local community job creation, but there needs to also be a conversation at the state level because they're the big winner. When you bring in a big employer like that with all the payroll taxes, the state's the beneficiary at the detriment of the local community. And even having those conversations, maybe it doesn't change the tax structure, but it starts creating more of a revenue share with host communities and the state.
Well, that's great news that he's doing some testifying on some of these things. And like you said, just keep the momentum going on these conversations. Right, city manager report.
So annual performance plans in front of you. We didn't really touch on the current year's annual performance plan at the retreat, but I think we certainly understand the big projects of it and where they all are from the retreat. I do want to point out, I did send out an email this morning. Not sure if people had a chance to see it, but the Grand Ron wants to pick back up its conversation that we're supposed to have in November. And they've proffered either April 29th or May 1st. Wasn't sure if anyone had a chance to see that email and look at their calendars. If not, we can certainly just email me your preferred date or dates.
May 1st, those are both Saturdays, aren't they?
And it's a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Oh, May 1st for me.
That's fine.
That's May 1st to Thursday. Yeah, Thursday works good for me too, that beginning of that weekend.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, I know, so.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah,
With
there you go.
time, I could make that Thursday work. So
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you look at your calendars and your work and home calendars and see which one might work. And then
Kids and all that.
Councilor Clark, did you catch any of that for a meeting with the Grand Ron, either April 29th or May 1st?
And same time, 8 till 3-ish.
Most likely, yeah, because we'll probably want to leave Wood Village around 8 to get there around 10.
Mhm.
And then you're typically back in Wood Village around 3-ish.
Probably
they
more
did-
4-ish.
It kind of depends when you leave. You leave like kind of right at 1, you leave at 2 and then the traffic, but they did just not quite finish. End of the month, we'll open their child development center. So that could be a neat tour. They've got their
Oh,
wellness center that
nice.
recently opened.
How is what do they call them, the head of the council there after she lost her husband?
I haven't had a chance to really connect with Stacia much about that. I think, just it was a loss and not necessarily unexpected, but still a loss, not
Yeah.
just to Chair Kennedy, but obviously the whole tribal
Yeah.
community.
Yeah.
And everyone was looking at May 1st, right?
Correct.
Okay.
we'll wait to get confirmation and you'll send that out.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Unless there are other questions, that's all I had for you this evening.
Oh,
And Jeff's online. Any report from you, Jeff?
I have nothing, Mr. Mayor, other than I appreciate the council's indulgence for me staying away because of my head cold.
We appreciate that.
Yours ours, Counselor.
Yes.
I hope I didn't give anybody this on Saturday.
Yeah, any mayor council report?
I just want to check a date if I can, cleanup day.
That is,
May
hold on,
17th. May 15th.
I think
May something.
it's, I think
Okay.
15th to Play East fundraiser.
So it is the 17th. See?
I was like, it's the same week.
May 7th.
Yes, the 17th.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's still at the Grand Ron site, but on the 223rd side because the Wood Village Boulevard side is being used for the Fred Meyer remodel.
Okay.
And so we're having, well, as we outreach and do our posts, we'll certainly let people know, like, enter off 223rd this year and really help have good maps and things.
And I know we got,
April 19th.
we'll get information, but May 17th and then usually we get down there about 9 o'clock, 7, about
Yeah, I think it's 9 to noon.
about 9 or
I
something.
don't think Caroline has a microphone, so she's probably like shaking her
It's
fist at
okay.
me, giving wrong information.
I'm good. I got it on there for 9.
I believe it's about 9 to noon for that one. For the Easter event on the April 19th, that's 11 to 2. And I know that one to be, yep, 9 to noon. I was right. How about that? Broken clock theory.
So Easter is next month,
Yep.
April 19th.
Wow.
And we've got, I think,
Too fast.
26 confirmed, I won't call them vendors, but booth participants.
Oh, nice.
Rotary's actually going to help volunteer at some of it because we've got our story walk. Caroline also developed the business scavenger hunt hasn't gone so well of getting interest, but she developed an in-park scavenger hunt and got kind of colored, cardboard eggs to hide around kind of the park frontage and just little activities for families to do.
Nice.
So it should be good. I know there's been some people, I won't say concerned that there's not a hunt. Maybe they're just more sad there's not a hunt. And after we explain like, well, it's the event that had the most complaints and lost children, less engagement. And we explain what we're trying to do. I think certainly people have been to our event the last couple of years, like what we're trying to do this year. So hopefully it doesn't get too overcrowded and overrun. And yes, we're bringing in traffic control as well to help with parking and parking management. So.
With that, nothing else?
I have one thing.
Here we go.
It's just like a short thing, but it's kind of a sad but tender thing. I was walking in the park on Sunday, and there was a woman that came walking behind me, and I see her a lot. She's a regular walker. And we talked a bit, and she said, I have something sad to tell you. We both fed this one squirrel up by the tree by the golf course. And I called her Little Miss, and she called her Van Gogh because she was missing an ear. She said, Little Miss is dead. She said, I saw her lying under a tree there up where the school is. And I picked her up. And I wrapped her in my scarf and I took her home. And my son made a coffin and we buried her. Isn't that the most, really? Just so sweet,
Very
I
sweet.
mean,
Yes, I'll tell you.
it kind of gets you,
Oh, absolutely.
Honestly, so little Miss is dead and we fed her just about every time we walked. She was out there for walnuts and peanuts and
A lucky squirrel.
very lucky, very lucky. So,
Had two angels looking out for her.
so anyways, that's all I got. Yeah.
Sharon, anything else for the good of the order? No, all right,
We're good.
we are adjourned.
All right.
Thank you,
Thanks.
guys. Thank you all.
Okay.